This is Aussie Mac Zone. We'll cover everything Apple, including Macs, iPhones, iPads, and more. All this from an Aussie perspective. Sit back, relax, and insert yourself into the zone. The Aussie Mac Zone.
Hello everybody and welcome to show 138 Aussie Mac Zone. And I'm lucky enough to have Garth back again. How are you, my friend?
How are you, Michael? I am on top of the world, I think. Well, you know, top of the little bit of the world I live on.
Yeah. Did you have a good weekend? The extra day off always helps, doesn't it?
I know, and another one coming.
You got another one coming, have you?
Yeah, next weekend. We've got Monday off again. So is that a Queensland only one next weekend?
That's a Queensland only one, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What is it? Better Brisbane Day or something? Is that what it is?
I don't know what it is. Wouldn't have a clue.
Don't care,
do you?
As long as you get the day
that's
off.
right. I'm just not going to work. I know that bit. What I've done is got organised and had, you know, the 4 days between the two off.
You're just trying to make me feel bad now, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I didn't get organised, so, you know, it's all good. But that would have been perfect, eh?
It sounds like a good plan.
Hmm.
Maybe that's what your wife's done and hasn't told you.
You know what? She's been on a baking flurry lately. Fresh loaves of bread, and we have feta and olive bread tonight, and a banana and coconut cake. Oh my goodness!
Jeez,
I
you're
don't know what's going on.
I'll have to come and live with you, I think.
I just don't know what's going on. There's a spare room. We probably better get the show back on track onto what we're supposed to be talking about here, I think.
Yeah, well, just a reminder to everyone that athwebhosting.com.au, our fans there, domain registration, free setup, auto setup 24/7, instant activation, and it's from as little as $5.95 per month when paid annually. Friendly help when needed, of course. Don't forget that. It's very important. Like when I forget to put the ad up on the screen.
It's so straightforward that you probably won't need much help anyway.
That's right. It is good. I've just picked up a new client that I've started to put it up there so she can see it, get used to using it, and I'm looking forward to her responses.
Excellent.
Yeah. So, story number 1. Upcoming requirement for Watch OS apps. So starting from June 1, 2016, all new Watch OS apps submitted to the App Store must be native apps built with the Watch OS 2 SDK or later. And that's the whole 3 lines of text that's on the Apple developer website. So it's interesting they're putting this out only 2 weeks prior to WWDC too. So I think, but the advantage of the Watch OS 2 SDK is speed, because it's like a native app, doesn't actually have to talk to the app on the phone, if I'm correct. I think that's...
As far as I understand, the main difference, that it can live independently there.
Yeah.
It's not going to need the phone for data connection. Or, well, I guess you could go Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
But, I think with the original Watch apps, they were basically sort of like widgets, as in the widgets on your notification center.
Yeah.
Just, you know, the interface pushed over to the watch. But yeah. So what do you think this means with it being just before the WWDC that this requirement's going to come into action?
I think that's so that Watch OS 3 can start development and they don't even have to think about Watch OS 1 and trying to look after it on the App Store and things like that. That'd be my two bobs worth.
I think they're probably 2 bobs placed on a good safe bed. That's probably exactly what it's about.
We're not known to keep XP around for 10 years or whatever it was, or 12 years, because they're still supporting it in the government. So.
And that's the weird thing, isn't it? You know, Apple is always in that situation of, let's not have too many legacy things hanging around that are going to hold us back from what we want to do next.
Yeah.
I think, you know, the one... so I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent here.
That's right.
you can get the news anywhere, so you get a bit of opinion along with the news. So my uninformed opinion is that, you know, we'll see the one product that Apple has completely mainstreamed is the iPhone, right? And I think that's one of the first products you've seen they haven't felt like they've had the freedom, if that makes sense, to just drop UI elements. We've still got a home button, we've still got a basic layout grids, and I think Apple are probably, in terms of design on that UI, a little bit hoist by their own petard, as the saying goes. I think previously Apple have, like with the watch, whatever, they've had the ability just to move on, and let's not look backwards, let's always look forwards. And yet with the iPhone, you've got everyone from your 3-year-old to your 90-year-old or older, whatever, can quite happily easily use that device. And so I think they're a little bit more reluctant to go changing up the UI quite as quickly as they have typically.
Yeah. And what I seriously worry about is any UI changes, because that seems to we got to remember, as I'm getting closer to it, the elderly who can't handle changes at all, but you don't want them to be able to say, well, you can't have an Apple phone anymore because it's 5 years old and you can't use it because they can't pick up the new UI and things. So that's a bit of a worry. I
think generally people don't want change. A lot of people, and a lot of the guys out there guys and girls who are listening to this probably love to embrace the new and the change, and, but a lot don't. And outside of a population who's going to be listening to a podcast about Apple products, people really don't like change.
Yeah.
Like, who gave them permission to, why did they change my color scheme like this?
Yes. Yeah.
Such a small thing. Change the icons. I don't know where anything is anymore because the icons have changed,
Well, so that's one that I'm waiting to change, is to be able to get rid of the stock app icon, for example. Some of those icons that I'll never use, I'd just like to be able to get rid of them if I could.
Particularly on the Apple Watch, I don't really care too much on the phone.
Yeah.
You can put them in a folder, throw them to the back. But on the Apple Watch, if you ever try and use that grid of icons, you really don't need the stocks app there, unless you need the stocks app there. That's the one place Apple should have allowed the hiding of stock apps that you don't use.
Mm-hmm.
You can't put them away into a folder. They're just there.
Yeah. I just put them on the outer circumference and usually on one place. So our next...
That's the best you can do. But number 2, sorry, there we go.
No, that's right. Yeah, that's good. It's good. It's interesting times ahead for us. Be a great WWDC, I think. So, but
me too.
So this isn't specifically Apple related, but it's important to us Aussies, I think. Is Australia says it can hack enemies as it invests $230 million in cyber security. Mashal reports the Australian government is watching and has the means to launch a cyber attack. Last Thursday, Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull introduced a massive Australia $230 million cash injection to arm the country for cyber security issues and deal with online threats it's facing, including cyber war and internal whistleblowers. Within the new internet strategy pushed down, Within the new internet strategy, the government also makes clear it has the capabilities to launch a cyber attack if necessary. Australia's defensive and offensive cyber capabilities enable us to deter and respond to the threat of cyber attack. The report reads, any measure used by Australia in deterring and responding to malicious cyber activities would be consistent with our support for the international rules-based order and our obligations under international law. So what do you think about that, my friend? Are we going to get attacked or what?
No. I saw that one there in the rundown. I really don't know what I think about that. I don't know if there's a lot to say. There's a large part of that's trying not to succumb to the normal cultural cringe and go, as if we've got anything. It's not a Collins class. There's so many easy to dismiss, which is probably completely and utterly unfair. I don't know. What do you think? You tell me what you think about it.
I definitely think they should be doing something. It is important. Remembering, for example, that just recently a couple of hospitals in the States got hit with some of those extortion malicious softwares where they basically lock the machine up and say you've got to pay a certain amount of money. So, we don't want our hospitals to go down by being attacked. We don't necessarily want our Japanese or Belgian-made submarines to have a problem because they've sunk. There's lots of things that you have to keep in mind that we don't want attacked. It's very important, especially even just our own medical information is going to be from July onwards or August. It's going to be out there for anyone to see if they hack in.
Yeah, that's right. I wasn't meaning to sort of imply that it wasn't important.
No.
I'm just wondering how good we are at it, because you don't actually ever hear about Australia's efforts in this respect.
Yeah.
You're sort of like, oh, okay. So,
well, I also read as a sideline to it that a few security company stocks went up in value after they announced that as well. That was interesting.
Yeah,
follow the money trail, isn't that what they say?
Absolutely. It's not a surprise in hindsight, is it?
Nah. But it's definitely and I suppose keeping it low key has its advantage, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, they have previously. I guess you can't really say that anymore, can we?
Well, they've done. They pushed it down the page apparently, so that you didn't know as much information if you were just skimming the headline part of it in the first couple of pages. But now they've announced it, then it'll still be low key. They don't have to say what they've done, how they're spending it, where they're spending it. So
no.
So our next little story, Stanford University developing iOS 9 apps with Swift is now available. So this has been out for a while and they've updated it now. So Stanford University this week launched its latest iOS development course in iTunes U, which was once again created by Paul Hegarty. For the last several years, Stanford has provided its iOS development courses on iTunes U free of charge to those who wish to learn to create apps for iOS devices. Stanford's developing iOS 9 apps with Swift can be subscribed to through iTunes or through iTunes U, or the iTunes U app on the phone or iPad. Sessions will be released on a regular basis, with the first introductory lecture now available. Thanks to Mac Rumors for keeping us informed. But I'm looking forward to that. I'm actually going to try that myself.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you get into it, man. It's really extraordinary, isn't it? The number of units that do this, and I don't know how Apple got them to partner up and do this sort of stuff, but it's a really huge platform.
Yeah, and it's very important too, I think.
You can basically do a Stanford or major Ivy League
a proper
course.
University course.
Proper university course. The only thing you don't get is the bit of paper at the end and the tutorials on the way. And I bet you there's study groups that you can there's probably do it yourself study groups you can do as well for that. It's just really cool.
And even I do a bit of work with Raspberry Pi, the little computer things, and one of the guys has written or changed Swift around for that, so you can write Swift apps for the Raspberry Pi as well now. So.
Can you really? So the open sourcing of Swift hasn't been people are taking it up. That's really cool to believe to hear.
Yeah,
I didn't know. When Apple first announced the open sourcing of it, I thought, yeah, that's really cool, great. But is anyone going to bother?
Yeah.
But no,
Well, so,
they are. That's awesome.
yeah, so the Raspberry Pi now's got the latest one. It's got Windows 10 software available for it that you can put on it. It's got some IBM software available for it. It's now got Swift software. You'll be able to write apps in Swift to be able to do it. So it's
What platform do they then run in, though? I wonder. They run in what environment do the Swift written apps run in? Whatever.
I don't know yet. Nah, I'm guessing it's probably the Linux background, because that's what the Raspberry Pi runs, and that's probably the closest thing to the Mac / iOS devices. So, but I haven't found out yet. So
Well, there you go. You've got some work ahead of you.
I do, just to keep my homework up to date. So we had some hardware updates this week. That's pretty cool. So Apple updates its thinnest MacBook, added rose gold. It's identical in design to the 2015 MacBook, but includes a faster SSD, an improved Skylake processor with better graphics, longer battery life, our new rose gold. Many of the reviews focus on these improvements while also calling out missing features that they were hoping for, including an increased number of USB-C ports, Thunderbolt 3, improved FaceTime camera. So, Engadget's Dana Wallman says Apple's claim of 25% better graphics performance and extra battery life are indeed accurate. And with the SSD, the 1.2 gig 512 machine, Wallman saw read-write speeds of 947 megabits a second and 845 respectively. And that's last year's was 738 and 451. So it's a big increase in the writing speed.
Yeah.
And Apple also made all the MacBook Airs 8 gig only now.
There's so many people.
Sorry, go on. Yeah.
Which is cool as well.
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, there's so many. The internet really was very divided on this product, wasn't they?
Yes.
Oh, it sucks. I hate it. It's like 1.21. Oh, I think even our mates over at Aussie Tech Heads, it's stupid. It sucks. Okay, it's not for you. It doesn't have to be for you.
Yes.
And people calling for that particular Mac, the MacBook, like, where are the extra ports? Like, get over it.
Yeah.
I think you can safely say it's not getting extra ports. Maybe in 2 or 3 years' time they'll do a redesign, but that's the chassis they're using. That's what they decided to go with. Even this MacBook, I'm using a MacBook Air, and it's got 4 ports in total. That's including the headphone jack.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, well...
What am I trying to say?
Was it Jason Snell today? I was listening to one of the Upgrade podcasts, and so, for example, people are saying, but it hasn't got Thunderbolt 3, but Intel's Skylake processor hasn't got Thunderbolt 3. So did they want to wait another 6 to 9 months for the next processor to come out that hopefully will have Thunderbolt 3 working properly in it?
No, they don't.
And if
they've got...
If you want more than one USB-C port, if you want to carry things around, then maybe this is not the machine for you. If you want one with more ports, you buy a MacBook Pro or a MacBook Air.
Yeah. If you want something with lots of ports, get a MacBook Pro. It's probably going to sit on your desk most of the time, and you'll have stuff plugged into it.
Yeah.
But that's not what this is. This is not that device.
No.
It's really light. It's completely powerful enough to do pretty much anything you would want to do on it, other than major video production and so forth. And you're not going to be doing that on that Mac anyway. You'll be doing a little bit of photo editing, maybe something like that. Heaps of power for that. We're so used to the old days where it was a race over numbers for 2.5, 2.8, 3.2, 4.2, megahertz clock speeds, and it's just not relevant anymore. We don't live in that world anymore. The processors that we have now will, at a 1.2, that means your battery lasts all day. and it
Yes.
still does everything you want it to do. I can tell you what world I prefer to live in.
Yeah, it's very true, isn't it? Yeah, so if you need more ports, it's probably not the machine for you. It's pretty simple, you know.
And the reality is, if I didn't do podcasts, that I don't need as many ports as this MacBook Air, which has got limited ports on it.
Yeah.
99% of the time, I wouldn't have anything plugged in here at all. Come home, put it on the power, and charge it up for the next day.
Yeah.
Sit on the couch, I use it. Sit here, sit there, sit wherever you feel like sitting. You sit there and use it. It's just So I don't know. I think that machine is I love that MacBook. It's not for me. It's not, but it doesn't have to be.
Yes. So, Google annoys entire TV industry. So, not content with grabbing ad dollars from TV networks across the world, Google went a step further by announcing that the adverts it serves on YouTube are better at convincing watchers to buy stuff. In a report seen by The Guardian, Matt Britton, Google's head honcho in Europe, says that 80% of the time YouTube ads were more effective than TV ads. So, what do you think, my friend? You're buying more stuff?
No, I really don't. I hardly watch YouTube, and I never watch TV ads. It's all Netflix. There's no ads there. I don't know what. I guess those 5 seconds before you can hit the skip button, you are watching it because you're waiting to see that skip button.
Yes.
Now if it comes on TV, you've gone to the toilet. You've gone to get a cup of tea, whatever it is. If it's
Well, you can drive down the shops these days with the ads, can't you? But the ads
pretty much, I imagine. I don't know, but that first 5 seconds, I should probably say, of a YouTube ad, everyone's sitting there watching it so they can hit the skip button.
Yeah, but they reckon also that that younger age group spend more time watching YouTube than they do watching TV these days anyway, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly true in our household. My son will come and watch TV shows that we're watching, but slightly at a different time, so he'll do it himself at a different time. He won't watch it with us at the same time. He'll go
that's
ahead
a bit
and fall
uncool.
behind on the same series. I know, totally. Why do you want to do that? Parents. Really.
Yes.
So viewing habits have certainly changed a lot, and only to change more in the coming future, I'm sure.
Yes, it'd be interesting to see what happens. So, I'm glad I don't have that much money invested. I wish I had that much money. Just.
I know. You
Yes.
always, what if with Apple stocks, don't you?
Oh yes.
What if?
Yeah.
What if?
So
But
I'm here to remind everyone again about our friends, Aussie Tech Radio at aussietechradio.com, or Aussie Tech Security Podcast, and the Aussie Tech Heads Podcast. And don't forget, with the aussietechradio.com, you've got Two Blokes Talking Tech, or Your Tech Life, 1BT, just to name a few. And if you're doing a Aussie or a New Zealand podcast and you would like it to be included for that 24-hour non-stop entertainment, please just let us know. I'll pass on to Glenn and get you up there, get you up and working.
absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Good little service.
Yeah. So what about the watch has been around for 12 months-ish now, hasn't it? Is that...
Yeah, 12 months. It's going to be its first day, and I think it's maybe tomorrow, or really right now, pretty much.
Yeah.
So whenever you're listening to this, you probably will have missed the watch's birthday. So it's been a year, Michael. How are you liking your watch? Is it still? Are you still loving it? You're having more problems, less problems, more use?
Yeah, I'm loving it. There's funny things like the Reminders app doesn't actually have an app for the watch, so I bought one which is also called Reminders, which just looks at the Apple reminders and puts it on my watch and sets off alarms, etc. when necessary. That works like a beauty. As I said, I've got Pong.
So can you just... Yeah, that's right. We spoke about those a little while ago, didn't we? The Pong. I never did get that. Thanks for reminding me. Hey, can we just pull back for a minute to that Reminders app?
Yeah.
So does it allow you to set the reminders on your watch?
Yeah.
So get a full UI for the Reminders app, basically.
Yeah, you just tap it and speak into it. Say, set a reminder. And
so what can you do with that you can't just ask Siri to do on the watch? Like you can ask Siri to add something to your list, a reminders list, can't you?
But you can't look at the reminders list on the watch. You can ask Siri to set you a reminder. Yeah. And remembering it's all in the actual way you say it. So, Siri, remind me about so-and-so, and it'll actually adjust a reminder that's already there, whereas you need to say, Siri, set up a reminder for 1 o'clock or 1 p.m. Don't forget to say AM or PM, otherwise the alarm goes off in the middle of the night. So if you say 1 o'clock, it'll go up at 1 o'clock in the morning, not 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, really? I don't know. I've run into that one. I don't think I've run into that.
Yeah. So, if you say AM or PM, that's a good choice. And but you can't actually see the reminders on your watch unless you get this
see
little...
a list of reminders and go through and check them off, and that's what this app gives you.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's really cool.
And I'm in the process, even though I love things, I use things a lot. Which is the getting things done methodology. I've just been trying to do all the same things with just the Apple apps. So I've got, now that the Notes app's a lot better, the Reminders app, and Mail. I've done a couple of changes in the Apple Mail to try and just to see if I can make that process better just using the Apple apps. So it's taking a little while to go through that.
Okay, so tell me, with things, I have things, but I've not really used it.
Yeah.
I picked it up free when it was free at one stage. Does it integrate nicely with the Apple Reminders app?
Everything that goes into things on the reminders goes into the inbox of things. So whenever you basically have to set a default reminder folder, which is, you can call it the inbox as well, but that's the only part that goes into things.
Okay.
It sits there in an inbox that you then have to move down and put it in your...
tag it however you want to. Or do it
once it's in things,
Because the great things... the great things, nothing to do with things, but the great thing, what I love about the Reminders app is the location and time. You know?
Yeah, which...
Tell me,
it takes those away.
When I get home, So if any listeners know of a third-party app that gives a little bit more functionality than the genuine the built-in Reminders app, let me know, because as long as it keeps all that other data, I think that's the real strength of the built-in app, is that, the location and time-based stuff that you can do so easily.
Well, that is taken, and they tell you that very clearly in things, that it does take away the location or the time.
Yeah.
Because you should already you use your calendar for putting specific time.
Yeah, so, it should be just a checklist. Use your calendar for that.
Yeah. So but it's been enjoyable. I certainly use the heart rate monitor when I think I've been working too hard, or just to think I could take it easy. So just like the background for that is I'm 58, and no male in my family until my uncle just recently had lived over 70.
Okay.
So just got to think about that in your background, don't you? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
So just take those things into consideration, and just being able to look at the heart rate. And speaking of heart rate, there was a guy in America I think it was in America, and he was having a heart problem. He was in casualty, as emergency as we call it, and to give him to get his heart to go back to normal, they had to give him a jolt with a defibrillator. But before they did that, they actually looked at the history of his Fitbit on his phone to see whether it was his heart was always missing a beat, or whether it was just something that was happening right now.
If it was unusual or not.
Yeah. Because they didn't want to give him a zap if that's how it was all the time, as opposed to so more so the same thing would apply for someone wearing an Apple Watch. They could look at the heart rate history and go from there. And you?
Yeah, I still love my Apple Watch. I really do. It's funny how a product that has come out in the first year has sold twice as many as there were iPhones sold, and for so many people they consider it a complete flop.
Yeah.
What a flop. They've just missed the mark. Apple's lost their mojo. Blah 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 blah. Whereas I really get value out of having that thing on. Same sort of things you've been using it for. It's all the fitness stuff, the reminders, messages, just triaging messages as they come through.
Yeah.
Or emails, because I have VIP set up so that I get a notification for VIP emails as well.
Yeah.
For people that I've set. So just that sort of stuff, having that available at a glance, basically, as opposed to, I really shouldn't get my phone out and play with my phone at work. You know what I mean? That's not the kind of workplace I'm in. So just be able to do that straight away on my watch. That Next There app, I use that all the time. Do I have to really hurry for the bus? Or is it okay to wander? I can sit there and watch the bus come up the highway. I actually like the UI overall. The only things I would change is, get rid of those.
The weather app, I've gone back. I use Weather AU. That gives me weather alerts for New South Wales or Australia or Queensland or whatever you select, for severe weather warnings. But the important thing is, Weather AU doesn't update the temperature on the watch face. It only gives me the high temperature for the day for whatever area I'm in, whereas the Apple Weather app updates the temperature on your watch face to the current temperature where you are, for people that aren't sure. So that's exactly. I've gone back to using that as the complication, so it's good.
I've tried about 4 or 5 different weather apps, and of the ones available in Australia, I like the Apple one the best for the complication. You can put it in one of the larger complications if you want a bit more information than just the temperature. Still looking for a really good weather app that beats it. Plus, just you tap on it and you've got the hourly weather.
Very good.
Right there. I find that really useful.
Yeah.
Another app I have all the time in my complications is Pedometer Plus.
Yeah.
So getting an actual step count on the screen rather than having to go into activities and scrolling down and seeing your step count. Just to have that step count on the front of your watch is pretty cool as well. So Pedometer Plus is another one worth having a look at.
The NAB bank have now got an app where you can just tap on it and it'll go and look up the current your balances, so you don't have to actually log into the NAB. It'll just look at the balances and tell you what your balances are in one account, or I have 3 accounts, so it actually tells me what those 3 accounts are without thinking about it very much.
No one, make sure no one's been off shopping too much.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Garth, very much. And don't forget all our friends down at ATH Web Hosting.
Well, you're onto an
And I've lost you again. Comes and goes. Just a quick note to say sorry about the quality of the video and the audio right at the end there. Thank you.